May the force be with you is a phrase used to wish a person well to overcome a challenge. The invitation in this podcast, May the life force be with you, is to explore what it means to truly feel alive, to appreciate the physical, emotional and spiritual connection to our energy, and finally to understand how this impacts who you are and all that you do. May this conversation inspire you to thrive. Hello, I'm Fiona.
I'm Kahreela.
And welcome to May the Life Force be with you. Apologies in advance if I have a little tickly cough today. My life force is a little bit below par. I've been running around the world, literally, and emotionally through lifetimes and places. So apologies in advance. I'm going to try and keep my coughs to minimum. But how are you this morning, Kahreela?
I'm good. Many schools of thought say the lungs are grief. And I guess that makes sense with what you've just done this weekend, that you're having a grief process in your lungs. How are you feeling about the family home?
Yeah, so just for everybody listening, this weekend I travelled back up to Scotland to Arbroath, where I'm from, and packed up what was the family home since 1979. We've lived there that whole time. So it's, pretty much where I lived my entire childhood, and has certainly been a base not only for me but for my friends as well. It's like a really consistent thing. And so my sister was there for one night as well. She'd been there earlier helping mom, and then packing boxes, going through things, having a laugh, having a cry. My gran passed away. My mum's mum passed away in that house. So did my dad. There's a couple of cats buried in the back garden. So there's a few people to let go of, a few spirits to let go of. But it was a beautiful sunny weekend, and something that I did, which I hadn't done in a very long time, was I sat on the grass outside and just kind of in the sunshine. A friend came round to help, and that was a really nice moment. So it was a lot of packing up of memories.
And how are you feeling?
But well, as I tried to say to my mum, memories aren't in the house; they're in us.
They're in your heart.
Exactly. And I got my mum, whose life I've totally changed by my journey, to sage. So we saged the old house, which is an act of kindness, because everyone's like, why are you saging the old house? You sage the new one. And I'm like, no, I feel like I want to release our family energy to allow the new family, when they arrive, to fully arrive. And so I saged the old house, let dad and gran, who passed away in the same room, go from that room, and then got mum to sage her new flat, which isn't her permanent home, it's an interim one. But I was like, just say what comes to mind and set an intention for how you want to live in this space. So she said that she wanted to be comfortable and sleep well, and maybe have some friends over, and just start the new phase in her life. So that was a really nice moment as well.
Wow, that's awesome that your mum is saging, and I agree. I think it's important to leave things clear and clean.
Yeah.
And also, you don't want your old energy tangled up in somebody's new life. It's like, for your sake as well as theirs, to like you wouldn't leave your stuff. Why would you leave your energy?
Exactly. And I know house clearing is a big thing that you do through your Starlight temple work. And it was interesting walking around that, because the house, not quite empty because the furniture has been picked up today, but it didn't feel like our home anymore. Like it's interesting. When I did my ayahuasca, I was very much in that house. That's where I returned to around circa 1987. And I could see myself in the kitchen with my dad and the dog and like the broken TV. And like it was all very, very vivid. And I could still sense that when I was walking around the kitchen. But at the same time, you know, it also feels like it was time to let it go. And so I could literally stand there and flash through different parts of my life, from being 5 and moving in there to my teenage years and my kind of party years and my school years and the friends that have come and gone in that time. Returning from university, it was always a base. My dad had a surgery there. He was a chiropodist, so we converted the house. But then I remembered we were also a guest house. And so there's numbers on some of the bedroom doors because mum ran a B&B over the summer months. So we'd had lots of people through the house and fun Christmas parties. My mum and dad always held the best Christmas and New Year parties. We always got the street very drunk. And there was just lots of memories. New Scottish New Year, like where people literally just walk into your house, as we've described on our Auld Lang Syne episode. So yeah, it's just an interesting moment. And I know I'm at the same time, very fortunate and grateful to have had a home be a part of my life for so long. Lots of people don't have that. They move constantly. They don't have that rooting and grounding that I have fortunate to have in physical form, in a beautiful house with an amazing quiet view and amazing neighbors. And yeah, I just felt very grateful. So and emotional, but...
Do you feel lighter? Because even though it sounds very beautiful and it sounds very amazing to have such a happy home as an anchor, like it sounds happy when you're talking about it, which I think a lot of people, when they talk about their childhood home, don't talk about a happy home, you know? And
my home was a happy home for my friends, not just me. Like my mum was very welcoming. She made the best chips in the street because we had a deep fat fryer before everybody else. And she'd make chips and like wrap it up in newspaper and grease newspaper when people came round. So you got like a proper bag of chips when you came to my house with your tea. So it was a happy home for a lot of people.
And that's an amazing, amazing thing. But the reason I'm asking if you feel lighter is because I kind of feel like when you let go of something as big as a house, it's like letting go of an anchor to the past. And I'm just wondering if your energy feels free from that time. Not that time is a bad thing that you have to free yourself from, but it feels like that's what's just coming to me, is like a letting go of an anchor or a launch or an ability to move into the future in quite
100%. And it's taken me by surprise. Exciting. And it's not that I don't care or I don't feel. I mean, my priority right now is my mum finds her ideal place, because she's had a couple of places fall through and there's not a lot of stock in Arbroath. It's a small town where it's families. There's not a lot of small flats. So I'm really bungalows. We need to manifest the perfect bungalow for my mum with a little garden. Let's go, folks.
Come on, everyone. Team manifest.
Come on, everybody. We can do this together. I just wanted to be happy. But what I strangely feel is not as much as I thought I would. And I'll be honest with you, it's freeing. And it's not that I don't care as much anymore. It's just that through the last year, through our conversations, Kahreela, through my own kind of like work and perspective and coaching and the amazing people that I work with, is that I really truly have now realized that it is just thoughts, and I can have happy thoughts about that place. It doesn't have to come from a place of sadness. And I do just go, okay, that happened. Now this is a new reality. And I'm sure there'll be moments where that changes, but I do feel freer. I do look at things differently. And, you know, there's a little bit of a tying to stuff.
Yeah.
But being attached to stuff, as you rightly know in the life that you're living right now, isn't living. Living is everything that you do that isn't tied to stuff. I feel. That's not very
Yeah,
eloquent. I was searching in my brain there for an eloquent moment, but you know what I mean there? And what
completely.
it's actually done, just to finish off on that thought, what it's made me do is actually reassess where I live right now myself.
Wow.
And I have a very different relationship to my home right now, where I'm kind of resenting it because I'm in it so much, because I work alone, I live alone, I'm in it all the time. And I'm very, very noise sensitive. And I'm really struggling right now to be in my own home, and it's given me a different perspective on what home is. Maybe you have as well, because your perspective on what home is very different right now too.
You know, I completely feel you, and I completely resonate because I work alone, and I'm sure loads of people are now living that reality because of, in some ways, the loss of the 9 to 5 that happened in coronavirus was a good thing. And yet, in other ways, I think a lot more people are living and working alone. And I don't think it's healthy at all. Actually, I
I
really
totally
struggled with it
agree.
towards the end of being in my apartment.
Yeah.
And
I actually believe that we're at a crossroads of people coming back into working together. I feel like it's been 4 years now, and I'm hearing more and more across the land that people are struggling with that solitude, and I think it impacts creativity, innovation, and all of those kind of productive and performance related words from a workplace environment. But it also affects how I live now, because I'm starting to resent my living space because it's my workspace. There isn't enough of a separation, and that does not feel healthy or nourishing. You want to kind of walk through your home door, if you're fortunate to have one that feels like home, and feel that you can take that exhale. I don't ever feel that right now, and it's beginning to affect my energy and my life force when I don't have that downtime separation. And so I'm looking for an office space because I want to bring that back in and have that separation, because I think it's so important for us. And like you, I'm hearing it from a lot of people right now. I think that there's going to be this next year, people seeking out company connection and environments where they have that separation of mindset again.
absolutely. I mean, with not having an address, it's very, very interesting because there's many opportunities for me to, people go away, you're going away. I'm offered
Yeah,
people's
you're living in my
houses.
house this
Yeah,
week.
I'm offered people's houses. And very often, sometimes I've had choices where I've had a house for free that's alone, or a house that is with other people that I might have to pay for. And I've gone for the house with other people because my whole system is like, I just don't want to be eating alone, working alone, being on Zoom. And yeah, it's like I have noticed how, I think because I'm keep going into lots of different people's lives at the moment and getting lots of different realities, I'm noticing how much higher my happiness level is when I'm having more company. And when
Oh
I'm
yeah.
being able to have, it doesn't even, like, for example, I was staying in someone's very, very beautiful house, which I loved. And then I stayed one night with a friend, and I just realized that, and I ended up moving in with the friend for the rest of the time, even though I'd paid for the other house. Not because the other house was wrong, it was beautiful. I just realized how much my system was so grateful to have a cup of coffee with someone in the morning and to have those like break up of work chats. And, we weren't spending loads of time together, me and my friend. We were just having human connection moments throughout the day while we were getting on. And I realized that after all of the flights alone and hotel rooms alone and times alone, that my whole system was just like, and I just don't think we're meant to live and work alone. I don't think
No.
I don't think it makes a happy human. I think it makes a highly sensitive human.
I totally agree. And I use my Whoop, and I look at my Whoop data. And when I was in Australia, I was pretty much green, which is positive, every day. And I think it's because I sat down with the family and had dinner every night and a cup of coffee in the morning. And I spoke to the dog and, there was just like life around me. And I came back here to the UK and I think I had like 2 green days in 6 weeks because I was back to kind of that solo living again. And everything on Zoom calls. And I totally agree with everything that you've just said. There's just that passing of the day, that passing of the time. And it doesn't have to be that you're sitting with someone, but even like I know with my mom, she's on her own, which I hate that I'm so far away. But just having someone in making a coffee in the morning or asking in the evening, what do you want for dinner? Those kind of moments are really important to our happiness. You're absolutely right. It is happiness. Do you know that Scotland has the highest rate of single occupancy homes? It's something like 34% of people live alone. That's a
In those
lot.
dark Scottish winters.
Oh God.
In those dark, cold Scottish winters. I mean, it's interesting because it's also just the ability to, those tea moments. You also get to run what I noticed is on my own, I can roll something around in me for hours and hours and get into the anxiety
Ruminate.
of it. And
Yeah.
when I'm living with someone else, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And they give you their opinion and then you answer. And it's like you get out of the maze of things much quicker. So I also feel like in terms of business and the investment of an office, like you're saying, it's like how much time do you spend because you're just in those casual the round the coffee machine conversations. How valuable are they for inspiration, for problem solving, for emotional uplifting, for
regulation, immune system regulation. I'm having this freak out. What do you think? Oh yeah, I'm being silly, aren't I? Thanks for that. I just needed to get it off my chest. Like something as simple as that, we just don't have. There's just like so much more capacity for rumination.
And then it's
when
like
you're on your own.
And then it's like coming home alone is a very different thing because it's not that I think we need company all the time. My guides like to say humans are like wolves. They're not like dogs. You know how dogs need to be in pack all the time and you can't leave them alone for 4 hours. They're like humans. They like need their alone time and their pack time. And so for me, it's like coming home alone when you've been with people all day is a nice thing. It's just when you work alone all day and then you don't even go home and it just becomes this blur of aloneness, actually. And
yeah. It's harder to bring in structure as well because there's something about being with other people where there's like, oh, we're doing this right now, or sometimes the flow of the day is dictated by somebody else's kind of energy, and you just don't have that capability to kind of hitch your ride to a different wagon, and you can bring somebody else's energy can really kind of inspire you or bring you along for the day. It can dictate the kind of cadence of how you eat, how you drink, how you move, like all of that kind of stuff, rather than sitting every morning going, okay, what am I going to do today? And saying that I'm off for an infrared sauna and shortly to try and like break up this cold that I have before I fly tomorrow. But I have to punctuate my day with things that force me to get out of the house.
I mean, that was one thing that I noticed when I was living alone, is how much time and money I was spending on punctuating my day. And it's like, and I love that you said that, because it's true that you can literally get a lift off someone else's energy. You get free rides. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, to be self-generating your own high vibration all the time takes an incredible amount of uplifting music, affirmation, cacao, and it's like,
which we do all love, yeah.
Maybe just being together, you know, has it's like, maybe tribe is the easiest way to meet yourself and lift yourself.
You know what? I'm pretty sure there's lots of people that what you just said resonated with around that, you know, the free ride. I love that when you said that. That made total sense to me.
and
free ride. Because interestingly, when I was in Canada, well, Australia, then LA, then Canada, and I moved pretty much alone. I'd never even been to Canada, and I'd been to Melbourne once when I moved there. And so I didn't know anyone. So you're literally alone because you don't even have a friend group. So the office was my kind of tribe. And then everybody would look forward to holidays and bank holidays. And I'd be like, shit, I'm going to be on my own for 4 days. What am I going to do? And it was actually sadness. I'm like, I don't want a holiday. I want to come into work. It was probably part of my problem. So I used to pay people to speak to me and touch me. And that sounds strange, but you know what I mean? So for physical contact. So I would like go and get my nails done. I would go for a massage. I'd get my hair cut. I would go to the cinema. I would like do everything I could. And then I'd build up a little network of hairdressers and beauty people and have a facial. So I was paying people to like give me their undivided attention for an hour at a time over each day of a weekend.
But this is, you know, this capitalist reality that we're living in is based on the fact that we're paying for what tribe can do for free.
100%.
You know, like you've just said it, I'm paying to get my nails done, I'm paying to get, and it's like, how much of it is about the nails and how much of it is about the human touch?
It was about talking to someone.
You know, like I do not need to go to my barber, Jimmy, who we've had on the show. I go because of the conversation. Do you see what I mean? It's like we pay for and I think the reason, you know, if you think of the hairdresser thing in lockdown, it was like everybody grieved their hairdressers, partly because of the haircut thing, but also because that having your hair touched, you know, is something that we don't get very much in life, especially if you're single.
And I would have personal trainers each place as well, twice a week, because then it's like, you know, and then I would get to the point where like, hey, do you want to go for a drink afterwards? And then I would try and create a little sort of network out of the people that I was paying to talk to me.
I think loads of people do this. I think I was doing this in Brighton before I left my house. Is, you know, I think the individualistic society is creating an economy out of like whether it's intentional or not, there is this economy of loneliness that I feel like we would stop you know, in a way it's like loneliness puts you in survival mode, and what we do in survival mode is expend energy in order to just survive, to just be afloat, to just be okay. We expend money, we expend time, we're treading water. Whereas one of the kind of concepts I'm exploring at the moment is like, what if we're meant to receive and then create? What if our manifestations come out of receiving first? And how do you receive without expending? The only way to do that is with tribe. You know, like the only way to do that is to get get full of love and full of energy and full of laughter and full of inspiration and full of conversation, and then create from there, rather than expending in order to create, in order to sustain. And I just, it feels like, and I think we come to this so many times on this show, but it's like the only way is tribe. You know, you're going to move to Dahab with me.
No, probably not. Does that mean you are moving to Dahab?
I'm moving to Dahab, and I'm like slowly persuading everybody to move with me.
Whoa. Hang on a minute. Stop the freaking press. What? You're moving to Egypt? I mean, it does look amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, I'm going to try it this winter, but I was like, because Dahab has a lot of things I like, and a lot of, in a way, I feel like I don't have to expend so much energy to be okay there. And I want to know what it's like not to have to expend so much energy in every sense of the word just to be okay, and see what happens to me when I'm not expending so much energy to be okay. And I've managed, and I also was like, I'm not moving by myself, universe. And so somehow I've managed to persuade loads of people to move to Dahab this winter too. I might work on you, Fiona.
I got my Aussie bumpers. But what I loved, what you just said there, and we're definitely going to revisit Egypt, was about how to expend less energy to be okay. And I'll take it a step further, how to expend less energy and have joy. Because when you crack those two equations, you know, joy equals minus less energy equals, you know, we'll work on what the may the life force be with you equation is. But geez, that's quite simple, isn't it? And also so impactful, because this is how I'm feeling about where I'm at right now. It feels like it's taken a lot of my energy to be okay. The house energy, maybe I need to change my own, you know, and how I'm living, and for me, it's always noise and energy and UK, and everything feels quite sticky and difficult. It doesn't have to be, though. It doesn't have to be. So what are the small things I can change?
It shouldn't cost so much time and money and energy just to be okay. If it is costing you everything, you know, I felt like by the end of living on my own and working alone on Zoom, I felt like in order to be able to show up as me, I was having to invest pretty much everything I was earning in my self-care just to be able to show up well. And like, when you actually do the maths on that, you know, like, you're living wrong.
The cost was too high.
We're living wrong.
The cost was too high. Yep.
Cost is too high. Like, the cost is too high. And I think, you know, the thing is that, and then you're coming through, and this was something that's really become clear to me. The thing is if the cost is too high, there's a part of you that then is coming through survival mode. And then you're not truly of service anyway. Then you've got an agenda in what you're offering and giving anyway, because you've got these massive ends to meet, you know? And so your giving also has a distortion of receiving in it. And you're just like, you know, then you're disrupting your own service, because you're not, you know, you're coming through a survival mode, and you're caught in the like capitalism trap of like, I'm desperate to feel better. I've got these crazy levels of ends to meet, and I can't make, and you know, I'm having to expend so much and give so much just to make everything sustainable. And that's what's going on, isn't it? That's what's going on in the UK.
It's going on. I think it goes on for the majority of the Western world. It's, you know, you can really see it and feel it, where people are like, oh, I'm stuck in a trap. Or, I mean, I had a conversation just this weekend. Someone's stuck in a trap of a job because it pays well, even though it makes them miserable.
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't the people that I was speaking to at the weekend, but it's a common trap where people go, well, I just have to stay here and do this thing because then I can save up to go on that 2-week holiday, and somehow those 2 weeks will make everything okay. And so I'm just focused on, you know, doing what I need to do to get by because I'm caught in a trap of money. And it's like, well, but it's not making you happy. And what is that money buying? It's not buying happiness. The happiness comes in the day to day, not in the 2-week holiday. And it comes in your values and your energy and how you feel and your morals and your kind of, you know, moral compass of, are you aligned with what you do every day and how you want to live? And I know it sounds simplistic. I know for a lot of people money is hard right now. I know that. I get it. I get it.
But why are we not holding the system accountable? You know, I'm currently in my cousin's house, and my aunt was saying that the running cost of this house is 3,000 a month. That is with a mortgage that is paid off. Like, why are we not holding the system accountable for these impossible living costs? Like, it's impossible. Like, how does anybody make ends meet? You know, why are we not holding our leaders and our system accountable for how hard life is becoming? And that's just what I think. You know?
No, you're absolutely right. And a big part of my mum moving was that she was so tired of being freezing cold and having to wear a coat in the house in winter because she was too scared to put on the heating.
I mean, like, why should somebody that's brought up 2 brilliant girls, and, you know, clearly your family paid their taxes, like, why should somebody in their later years be worried about putting the heat on? And I know. You know, this is why I want to, for me, I'm like, I want to know who I am when I'm not trying to make these very complicated and expensive ends meet. I want to know what I'm going to create from being in a place that just makes me happy to be there.
Like, what I get is a massive sense of freedom, and I actually, in the last month or so, have been fantasizing about this sense of freedom, about this, you know, lack of ties to system and bureaucracy and time and obligation, and, you know, feeling like you have to be on a merry-go-round of capitalism. I mean, I was just in Cannes last week at the most ridiculous. Actually, Deepak Chopra did a guided meditation for me. Yeah, I was at a Cannes Creative Festival, which is all billionaires and yachts. And I hugged a friend who's now a billionaire. You know, it's like obscene amounts of money and wealth. Um, but there's a feeling about being trapped in that system. And there's somebody I know that had a $41 million payout for a lawsuit, which we reckon went through litigation, probably mitigation, probably only got a couple of million after tax, blah, blah, blah. And we deduce it because I'm like, why hasn't she retired? Because if I got that in a lawsuit, and we realized we were like, yeah, she probably only got 8 million. That's not really enough to retire on because they live in the US and dollars. And I'm like, holy cow, like that's insane that you could even say that. And that kind of blew my brain and made me really sad. And I'm like, oh, but if you live differently, if you made different choices, if you absolutely could. It's a choice that you can't retire on that because you like that's more money than 99.9% of us can imagine being given in a lump sum, right? So how can you not find happiness in retirement in that? And retirement doesn't have to mean not working, but it sure as heck to me would mean not working in a normal way. I'd work in an unnormal way.
But you know what?
And give back in different ways.
I don't want to retire on £8 million in the bank. I want to retire on £8 million worth of life force energy in my body. Like, what is the life force cost of all this expending to survive?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, what is the life force cost? And I think that is because this level of having to expend to survive, that 8 million is not enough. That is coming at a cost to your soul, man. You know, it's coming at a cost to all of our souls.
Yeah. And I'm just slightly digressing on that, but I when I was in Cannes, I went to this wellness session. So it's a massive festival of creativity from all across the world, and there's amazing speakers. And I went to this wellness session that was Deepak Chopra and this amazing woman called Michelle Crossan Mattis, who's actually Scottish. And when she started speaking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to start stalking you. And you're my new like hero. And she's probably a bit younger than me, but she's the chief marketing officer of a big beauty brand in the US. And she basically is living the unnormal life. And they were there talking about workplace well-being. And she said that she just looked at the being on the treadmill of living in New York and having this big kind of corporate job. And she decided, I'm going to move my entire family to Puerto Rico and my 2 dogs, and we're going to live on the beach. And when I need to be in New York, I'll get on a plane. But otherwise, I'm going to live in Puerto Rico and I'm going to look at the sea and I'm going to take in the sunshine and I'm going to work on myself and my joy every day. And she said, ego is the enemy of joy. And therefore, I don't care what people think about those choices that I've made, but I know that joy is at the heart of it. And this brings me joy. And so if I can be joyful from the inside, I can ripple that out to the people in my organization. If I can get them to feel joy, that when they then work with customers, they can spread that. And she's like, what a beautiful thing if I'm like, my mission is to help like spread that joy in the world. And I'm like, oh my God, I love you. I'm hanging on every word you say. You are living an unnormal life. Like who lives in Puerto Rico and is like the chief marketing officer of a big US brand? She made that choice for the health of her family and their own joy and their own lifestyle. And I'm like, yeah,
that's amazing.
Do it. I know, very inspiring.
And the easiest way to bring this back round, to have joy, is to be together.
Yeah. In the sunshine. I think that's the final message.
With some sunshine.
And warmth. It does matter. But yeah. So no, lots of beautiful little aha moments in there. Thank you. Lots of beautiful lessons in there. And I'm sure if it's resonating with both of us, it's resonating with people that are listening as well. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to admit it's okay to not want to be alone. Permission granted, folks.
Let's not be alone anymore. May the life force of other people be with you.
Amen to that. Until next time, thanks, Kahreela.
We hope this conversation has topped up your life force energy. If it has, then please help us spread the life force. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. And may the life force be with all of us.